Hey everybody, in this episode of Box Office Breakdown, Disney's favorite pachyderm flies to the top of the box office. But is this film Dumbo or Dumbo? We'll tell you all that and more next.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Box Office Breakdown.
Oh gosh, guys, hey everybody.
Wow.
Look at that.
What an intro.
What an intro. Welcome everybody to Box Office Breakdown. This is the show where we look back at the box office that was, and then we...
Nos. How
How about the box office that lie ahead? I'm Frank Moran.
What's up, Kari Lane here.
I'm Amy Cassandra Martinez.
And making us look good and sound even better, Steve in the booth.
Hey, what up, y'all?
Look at this. What a rare treat to have Steve do this show for us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, my goodness. We're excited. We're excited to have you, Steve. As always, folks, like us on Facebook. Give us 5 stars on iTunes. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give it a thumbs up while you're there, or 2, or 3, or 4, or however many you can. And yeah, the chat is up and running, so feel free to comment and share your thoughts. I know you're already in there sharing your thoughts about movies, but feel free to comment on anything we're talking about as well. And Kari, if they're watching after we stream live, what can they do?
Yes, you all can comment down below, which I know you do.
Oh,
which is great.
Yes. So
we still love you. You know who I'm talking about.
Say some names. It's okay.
I know. Call them out.
Yeah, call
There's
them out.
Bob. There's Susie.
Getting specific. I like it. I like it. So, folks, we'll jump right into our top 5 for last week. And coming in at number 1 is one that we were debating amongst ourselves if it was going to be number 1 or if Us was going to hold on to the title. But Dumbo from Disney, Tim Burton's new film, came in at number 1 with a $45 million haul for this weekend.
Yeah.
Yes. There you go. It was also the subject of this week's box office bet.
Indeed it was.
Indeed it was. And, folks, it was a hot bet. And after almost a month of just solid losing
Yeah.
on my part, I was able to squeak away with a win with a $48 million bet on this.
Nice.
Look at me go, finally.
Yes.
So I had $48 million. Our good old Amy Cassandra Martinez, she had $38 million. $37 million. Jonathan, who's subbing in for us, had $58 million. And then Kari.
I was way higher, right?
A big $62 million. There you go. So, Kari will be having to see this film.
I know, right?
Tell us all about it. But you know what? I went and saw it.
You were scared or
You
you
were
were
worried?
excited?
Yeah.
I did not enjoy this film.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went and saw it. But I did not. I wanted to go enjoy it.
Okay.
What was it?
But I feel like it lives up. I feel like it does a lot with the Tim Burton's. Visually, it can be very entertaining to look at, but the story is just... It's happened to a lot of them recently in a lot of the last Tim Burton films. The story's just never there. And this one's a dud. It is rough. The original Dumbo is 61 minutes, so one of the shortest of the Disney animated features.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and so this one's nearly 2 hours. So they've got to really
adding
add
a
some-
lot. Yes.
And the humans are, not really much to do in the original animated film. It's basically the animals are doing all the talking and the acting, and you're following the story through their eyes. This one they inject a lot more humans into it, for worse, I think.
Do the animals speak to each other at all?
They do not.
Oh.
Yes. So which is unfortunate because Dumbo.
Because if it's focused on the animals, it's like okay.
How does he communicate?
He just makes little squeaks and little noises, and he's just enthusiastic at points and sad at other points. It's a bummer. It is a bummer. I'd rather would have had him. I'd rather have had less humans and more of the animals talking to each other. So Colin Farrell plays a father who comes back from World War I. He's lost an arm, but he used to be a horse rider in the circus, and his wife is
Spoilers.
Oops, spoilers. Yes. So it's not much. I mean, if you've seen the film, whatever.
Spoiler alert!
That always scares me.
Yeah, but so he's got 2 kids, and the kids are kind of just dud. The performances are flat. The characters aren't that interesting. Michael Keaton comes in and chews the scenery a little bit, which is always nice. He plays a big time carnival huckster, like big time showman, who kind of wants to buy Danny DeVito's circus, and because he sees Dumbo's got this great act, so he goes, "Oh yeah, I want this for my huge, cool thing that I'm trying to put on." So It's fun to see him and Danny DeVito kind of switch sides as opposed to like Batman Returns, where they're Penguin and Batman. So kind of switch one and switch who's good and who's bad in this film.
Okay. We have Ryan in the chat said, I had a fun time watching Dumbo. So, and then Neela says, Frank and I don't hardly agree on movies, so I might like Dumbo.
Oh my! All right, yeah, there you go. It's just, yeah. Well, we'll talk about the other top four, but real quick, since we're talking about Disney and their live-action adaptations, I mean, we've already had Jungle Book. We're going to have Lion King. We're having Aladdin. I mean, they're working on Lilo and Stitch. We have had Beauty and the Beast.
I didn't know they're doing Lilo and Stitch.
I mean, that's at least in the pipeline.
What?
Yes. I don't know. Do you want to see a live-action Lilo and Stitch?
No,
I
the
don't
first
think so.
one's perfect. Like, so many of these Disney classics, like, they're great as animation. Yeah. Why are we making it live action? I mean, not like I haven't gone to see them anyways, but it's like, why?
I feel like that's the discussion we've had for what feels like a million years now of why are we remaking things? Not even just, from animated to live action, but from TV shows of being like, oh, look, we're doing it again. It's like, but you already did it. Why do we need more of it? Can we just end it and get new scripts, new stories, new people?
Yep.
Let's do this. So it's kind of just the same thing over and over again. But with that being said, we also feed into it when we go and watch these movies.
Or at least give it a new spin, like change the direction, change the tone.
Yeah.
Like that could be interesting. But so far it seems pretty close enough.
The same. With Beauty and the Beast, how did you guys feel with the live action?
I did not enjoy it. 'Cause I was I love the original animated film, so I was like, why am I watching this?
Same. I felt it was okay. I felt that one they should have done more practical effects, and that would have made him look cooler, the Beast.
Yeah.
But it was just so heavily CGI. You don't believe they're in the world together, and so it just feels eh.
Yeah.
Though Aladdin with the longer trailer, I'm a little more excited. But again, I hope maybe they do something a little different with it. Because, why remake it if you're going to do exactly the same thing?
It's going to be challenging, I think, for Aladdin because that is, unlike all the other ones, that has such a singular performance from Robin Williams that the other ones don't have. That it will be interesting to see what Will Smith does to try to make it his own.
Yeah.
And does the film work as well if it's played differently than it is in the animated film? I feel like everybody's mileage will vary on these films if they have a personal enjoyment and attachment to the original film. Like Jungle Book, I didn't mind the adaptation for that one because I mean Jungle Book's fine, but I don't have that deep love for it. But like Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, those ones I'm much more attached to. So I mean I didn't like Beauty and the Beast, and I don't. It feels like, do I really need to see a live action remake? Well, I mean live action when we're talking about computer generated animals, but
well, actually, good point. Neil in the chat pointed out. They said the Jungle Book and Cinderella live actions I love so much more than the originals. I forgot about the Cinderella one, but that one was actually cute because they added more context to her stepmother's storyline, and that was kind of interesting to hear. But again, they added something that wasn't in the original. So then I go, oh, okay, you're changing it up at least a little bit. Otherwise, you be like, I saw this already.
Well, what gets tricky though, another one that I just remembered, Mulan. They're doing that one too.
Yes.
Yeah.
What gets tricky when you add context that wasn't there before, it's like, well, people, like you said, Frank, are so attached to the original project that it's like, why are you doing that? That's not what happened in the first one. So it's very tricky, but I don't know. If that's a way to get kids these days to watch these movies, then that's something that maybe should be explored. But I think as adults that grew up with these movies and we saw the classics, it's like we just don't feel the need for it. It's just curiosity.
What about Maleficent?
Also, I'm sorry, go ahead, Kari.
Real quick, do we like Maleficent? I did like that one.
I didn't see it.
I actually haven't seen that. I've seen bits and pieces, but never the whole thing.
Because it's a character we know and a backstory on a character that we haven't had. So that was cool. And I felt that was, like, that's an original way to take it. Like, give us a character that we don't know much about and give them a story. And, yeah.
You were saying, Steve?
Yes.
I was just saying off of Amy's point there, let's not forget all the remastering of the originals and the re-releases that they just seminally put into the theaters. Just the original copy and get people into the theater to see those.
True.
It's interesting to consider, like reboot, remaster, remake, all these things. So much to take into account.
Yeah.
Sure, and I mean, I could see Disney's thinking perhaps being that, oh wow, so many people grew up loving Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, whatever it is. Now that they're adults with children of their own, this is a way to kind of get them, everybody sucked back in. They're going to remember this movie that they loved growing up. Now they can bring their kids to a version of that in the theater as opposed to just what they've seen at home, maybe.
I wonder, we should do a poll. We should do a test where we have kids watch both versions of, for example, what? Beauty and the Beast, right? So watch the classic original one and watch the live action and see what they like better. Not necessarily to be like, well, you need to stop doing these or whatever, but just out of curiosity, what
Which
do they
they
like? If that's, that's who they're aimed for, aimed to.
I didn't see it, but Amy, you have, and you did talk about, what about like Christopher Robin? So that's, again, taking a context we know, but giving it a different story.
Honestly, it'd been forever since I saw Winnie the Pooh, and to be able to go back into that and have it feel different, I think they did a good job. So, and it's weird. That's what I mean. That sometimes it's like, it's a hit or miss, but it's also like, as a whole, personally, can't speak for everyone, as a whole, I'm just like, let's stop. Just new things. Let's just, it's a tricky situation because I really did like Christopher Robin, but it did feel completely different because it's not the same. It's not a kid anymore. He's an adult, and I think that like bringing it, kind of like how Toy Story 3 was kind of, you grew up with them, and now this is the point where Andy is, and you can identify with Andy. That's kind of the same with Christopher Robin, where it's not the same exact thing. It's time has passed, and you're here now.
Every time I would like to see Christopher Robin. I didn't get a chance to see it.
I didn't see it yet.
But every time I've seen the trailer, I keep thinking of Pan. I mean, not Pan, a Hook.
Oh,
Yes.
But Hook I love. That movie's amazing.
I have a soft spot for that, even though, I mean, it does frustrate me at points, but I still have a soft spot. I mean, roller skate, it's so small, which is frustrating to me. The way they envision Neverland is just...
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it's just like...
But is that budget constraints or creativity constraints?
It's a Steven Spielberg
both.
film. Come on. There's few things. Nobody's telling no to Steven Spielberg. But is it a kind of Hook kind of type thing where he kind of forgets his childhood and he has to kind of embrace it again?
It's the whole, it's kind of the idea of Mary Poppins, I guess, kind of, where it's like you get to the point where as you grow older, you go, you get hardened by the world. And it's kind of like reminding you to just, I don't know, be a kid a little bit. I like that.
Really? Go ahead, please.
Steve, to your point, Jody in the chat points out how remastering some of the old films ruins the picture of the movie, and that's why they think Disney's remaking them. They pointed out The Little Mermaid was just released, and they ruined the colors.
Interesting.
That is the problem sometimes of having these super HD TVs and you're watching something old or something like that. But I don't mind. I'm like, I will, if it's a certain movie, it feels better grainy or, not as glossy as things are today.
I mean, thinking back of when you were a kid and watching, if your parents ever turned on something black and white.
Yeah.
You watching it, like, did that change anything for you? Because I remember watching I Love Lucy and being like, this is great.
Yeah.
This is different. So it's kind of maybe that idea where it's not so much like black or white, but the quality of it. But I don't know if kids would really be like, you know what? That's CGI or that's not good enough, It's just more about the songs, how much action's going on in front of them. We need to talk to some kids. That's what it sounds like.
All right, cool.
If you're a kid and you're watching, please send I'm just kidding. Comment down below.
Yeah, come on over to the studio right now. Yeah, just tell your parents to bring you over. All right, we'll jump back into the rest of our top five, and we're getting ready to talk. Now that everybody's seen the next film that we're going to be talking about, we can get into more of a spoilerific discussion about that. And that is Jordan Peele's Us, coming in with another $33.6 million, a 52.7% drop from its first week. Carrie has finally seen the film.
Yes. Similar sentiments to you, Frank, of I enjoyed it, but I like the world building, but there's a lot left out, and it didn't make it scarier not knowing. Because I watched some interviews, including some reviews, like this one over here's talk on it. Geek Bump. I did. I watched your guys' thoughts, because then I was just curious what other people think of it, especially after I've seen something. I'm just curious what other opinions are. Not that would necessarily sway what mine is, but just how other people take it. And one of the things Jordan Peele was talking about, having the not knowing created the mystery and made it scarier, but it wasn't scary for me in that way. I kind of go, but wait, what about this, or this, or this, and wait, that doesn't work. But that didn't detract so much. It just more didn't add. I think it's a great gateway horror drug for people, like people who haven't seen many horror movies. But if you watch a lot of horror movies, it definitely wasn't very scary. I've been to the Santa Cruz Boardwalk my entire life, so I was super excited about that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love that area. They never have anything on the beach like that, though, so I thought that was kind of cool to add the mystery thing. And I'm like, oh, they should have one of those for reals now. But they don't. Well, they haven't been there since ever I went. But so that was cool. I like that. Also kind of like how Lost Boys went to the boardwalk too. The acting, phenomenal. Do agree with that. And because everybody having to play their other and having to act to your other that's not there. So I think that was great. But it's felt semi-unsatisfying for me in the end of like, okay. Or a lot of questions that were left it unsatisfying.
Steve, I think that was a great time to throw up a little bit more of that spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert!
He's ready for it that time.
There you go.
alert.
Yes.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Thank you,
Wait,
Steve.
I was going to say, keep the color different, please. Somebody had pointed that out. We'll keep the color different, like the lights. Can we keep them
Oh
red?
yeah, of course,
Yeah,
of course.
so-
I figured I'd overkill it for a moment for Frank's sake.
Yeah. Just for people watching, we'll have the lights a different color, so then that way you don't have to hear it. And when this is gone, we're done talking about it.
Love it. All right.
Yes, thank you, Steve.
So let's just get into it, guys.
Okay.
Carrie, what was the part about the world building
So-
that kind of frustrated you?
I get really literal sometimes on movies because I'm like, wait. So where are the rabbits getting their food? Who's cleaning up after them? Where are they getting the clothes? Why do they all have? How do you literally get exact matching in that quantities? So like those are little things that you think about after and go, wait a minute. The thing of the tethered is cool, and the premise of why it came to being, but how come nobody above noticed this revolution down below? Because now that tether is not the same anymore. Because that would be kind of I like your concept, like the people down below are reflecting it, like you see them literally acting out what's happening above, but in like a much more minimized version. But then when this revolution is happening, how come nobody above is reversed affected? Or how can they break away from that connection and do this revolution?
I figured it was more of like a... Okay, I'm going to get scientific here.
Go for it.
Like,
All right.
Yes.
it's like, you know, when you have a host and then you have like the parasite or whatever.
Okay.
Like one's a little bit more dominant. No.
Yeah.
No. It's one of those things where it's like one's more dominant than
Sure.
the other. That's how I saw it. That it's like we're dominant up here and not we. Whoa.
Yeah.
Like I hope there's... Oh gosh. In the
other people.
Yeah, in the film, that's what I figured. Going back to what you were saying about the little things, I feel, and also not having things tied up at the end. Tied up.
Oh boy.
To get, for me, I get so lost in the movie where when I leave, I'm thinking more about the psychological impact of it, not so much the little nitpicky things, which I think is just a personal choice, like what you take out of it, what you leave with that film. And also for me, I hate it when a movie explains every little detail.
Not that you have to explain everything. I've
Yeah.
definitely seen plenty of movies that leave a lot open, but it's more just like the, okay. And then, just the...
Well, like, for example, like Get Out. Like, we understood, like, kind of like the world and the rules and everything that was happening in it.
Yes.
But, like, this one, I felt like you really didn't understand the rules of this. And it seemed like...
Or they sort of break them.
Yeah, and then you're left at the end going, well, for some people, at least for me,
Yeah.
I was left like, oh,
Same.
wait, what about this? What about that? It just didn't hold up as a full entire world that I could just fully invest in.
Which
Yes.
is completely opposite for me, because I left being like, whoa, imagine the possibilities. And that's even more, not like, I'm scared. No, it's like, it's haunting. Like, what does this really mean? And then your brain just goes, and then it goes, and you're like, I need to see this again.
I would not care if I don't. But
Like,
Ever.
but you don't like rewatching.
well, it's more I don't feel I'm gonna gain anything in watching everybody's. I watched other breakdowns. Here are the things you missed. All the things I go, yeah. That doesn't change my experience of it. And again, if you watch a whole bunch of movies, watch a bunch of horror movies, there aren't so many things that were shocking and new. But there are a lot of cinematic filmmaker things that I really appreciated that I was like, oh, cool, like the symbolism of something, or like somebody pointed out, oh, the fake spider on the table and then the real one and then the fake one. It's like the above and below. And I go, yes, I think it's great. All the details that were put into the movie. But that doesn't leave me going, wow, you know?
Yeah.
And it's more like you can appreciate a movie cinematically.
Yeah.
But am I going to sit and want to be like, hey, guys, we should totally rewatch this movie?
Yeah.
I'm not.
See, and for me, it's
like
also looking at Lupita's, like, whole portrayal of Adelaide and Red.
Yeah, no, she did great.
For me, I would just watch her alone all over again to see every little detail, every little thing that she did, that you're like, wait a second. You're watching it the second time around, and you're like, whoa, does she know that she's already traded? Is she aware of that? Does she realize later? All of these things, and there's so many little mannerisms that you can pick up on, and I feel like I would just want to watch her. Like, such a big part of Us was Lupita Nyong'o. But Lupita, because we're homegirls. Like.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I never understood, like, so she's handcuffed down there afterwards.
Where'd she get the handcuffs?
Where'd she get the handcuffs?
They're
How-
there.
But also, how
that's such a little thing to worry
No,
about.
but it's
like,
a world. They
think
built the
about
rules.
everything. Like,
Okay.
if that's what you're left with, that's frustrating.
How did she get out of the handcuffs?
Why didn't she just go back up and live her own life
Absolutely.
up there, too?
Yes.
I'm like, you could have just gone with her.
You guys, you don't know what she went through down there. She was a little kid, and she was
Still,
like,
if she
how the
hates
heck?
it and she got out, and they have no security system in place to keep these people
We
there.
don't know.
No,
We don't see it.
Yeah.
But later, we see, like, everything going on, but we don't see those restrictions because everything's gone to crap.
Yeah, but the other times that there's no locks on the doors. There's no. You could just walk up the escalator. She could have gone.
I'm saying that you guys don't see everything that's going on as it's all going on because we get the flashbacks or whatever, but we only see what's going on here.
Yeah.
So who knows? There could have been like some restrictions, but then when everything happened, bam.
Also, technically,
gone.
that area is underwater where it's set, and I'm like, no, because where it is at the beach, I'm like, no, literally, you'd be underwater.
Yeah.
And so you. But that's the thing. When you build this world, I'm excited about this world. I want to know more about it, and you can leave mystery. Mystery's not the problem. It's the how do those pieces fit together, and you kind of go, because then you are thinking about the practical things.
And I think that's the biggest thing where I'm like, I just let myself get in there. And then I walked out and I was like, I love what you did, Jordan. Thank you so much. And I left feeling like, this is great. I love films. And I love what they did. Sure, there are problems, okay, but I didn't leave being like, those things that they didn't connect. No, like, what made a major impact on me was their performances, was the psychological aspect of it, all of them.
Okay, more specifically,
Yeah.
what about the psychological aspect that stood out to you that made an impact?
Well, the fact that, like, imagine what it's like to see someone that looks like you, and then
That'd be awesome.
and then they come and try to kill you. Like, are you...
I still think that'd be awesome.
I still think it'd be interesting. I always wondered if I had another twin out there or something.
I feel like we all had that too growing up. Frank,
Well, I'm
did you?
adopted too, so then I'm like, wait, there could be
There
one.
could
Are we
be.
referring to a doppelganger?
Yes, we are. And this
Yeah.
whole plot, I do like that Jordan Peele looked into this because he has a fear of doppelgangers, because that was a fun thing. I also watched the Twilight Zone episode that he was inspired by for this as well, which is a nice short. But see, in a short film, that's where you can have tons of unanswered questions because the short film medium
yeah.
allows for that.
Yeah.
But in this one, you are like, also it felt very long. It took a long time to get to a lot of these points. And it was more just, I'm not sit there after going, ooh, all these literal questions. More you just sit at the end of the movie like, okay. So I need to talk to somebody about it because
Yeah.
I need to get, like that's how it was at the end.
Yeah. Not for me. I mean, I wanted to talk to people because I was like,
Yeah.
everyone needs to see this. I don't. Even if you're scared of horror movies, like, I totally get it. But to be able to see these kinds of things, whether they're new or not new, whether you've seen 100,000 movies or you've ssseen 100,
Yeah.
I think every movie gives us something slightly different. I mean, not every movie's gonna, even if it has the same kind of idea, it's like, oh, yeah, that's cute. It's not that original. These performances were drastically different. And I don't know, like, I think that's what was most important for me. Their performances. And I was just like, you guys, like, this is so good. And to be able to, I would have loved to have gone on set and to see what it was like to be those characters. Like, as an actor, how did they do that?
Oh, there's some good interviews of that. I watched those
Yeah.
too. Oh my gosh! Though I would say the daughter's the smartest one in the movie for most of the movie.
I could have used more
I loved
running,
her, yeah.
but you know,
Yeah.
like those are the things where I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't care. Like I left feeling so, I don't know, so not overwhelmed, but just whelmed.
Frank, do you have anything else to
10
add?
things I hate about you.
We're like
just
going on
very
about it.
satisfied and happy.
Frank.
Yes.
Yeah. No. I don't know. I'm two minds on this because Jordan Peele. I was listening to an interview that he did with the Empire Film podcast. He did that, and where he has answers for the larger world that he's created,
Yeah.
but he just chose not to put those in the film to
Yeah.
leave it to audience interpretation. He kind of held back on this, and the question is if he ever decides to go revisit that universe. He goes, "Oh yeah, I have ideas of other bigger things," but I don't think he really has any plans of revisiting. It's such a nice thing to kind of just dangle to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's going to want to work on something new. So then there's the other part of me. It's like, all right, I can understand. I appreciate you as a filmmaker, deciding I'm going to leave something open to interpretation. But I guess it's, again, everybody's mileage is going to vary. You were totally satisfied, but then I was still frustrated. And knowing that he has these answers, but has chosen not to put them in. I mean,
That makes me like, good for you.
But then there's part of me that's like, well, then just tell me. If you're never going to come back to this
It's
again.
okay, Frank. It's all right.
Okay, I do like this one though. In looking up theories, so much of it I wanted to hear actually from Jordan Peele because fans, it's like writing a film paper. You can say whatever you want about a movie as long as you have like the evidence to back it up. But unless the filmmaker goes, "Yes, I did it for that," I like BlackRock in the chat says it's crazy when people try to come up with theories that's not even in the movie and try to make sense of it. So I'm like, yes, there was those other moments too. I like this. Channel says I would love to see this movie with someone as enthusiastic as Amy. Go you.
I mean, when a coworker of mine was telling me because he really loved the film, he goes,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I just got me thinking about it afterwards." And I was thinking, maybe I guess their alien technology must be involved in this. I'm like, what?
I would have loved that idea.
Well, yeah, but it's
they
like
don't do that.
if
They
you
don't
have to
tell
start
you.
throwing all that stuff in to make this world make sense to you, I'm like,
Yeah.
come on.
It's more of like, wow, that's awesome. That's what you got out of it. This is what I got out of it. Oh my gosh, let's talk. Oh, we should go see it again.
All right.
Well, I will say though, I do like, again, it's a gateway horror drug for people to get into the horror genre. One of those, so many people saw this movie, they're like, I don't normally watch horror, but I want to support him. I want to support the more of an original horror film. I want to support a lead black cast, which is awesome too. And on those merits, I appreciate the movie. And it's great if other people are loving it. But for me, it was just more like, cool.
Well said, Carrie. That's going to do it for our spoiler.
Yes, be like, boop.
Yes.
Now the lights.
Thank you, Steve.
Come back.
All right.
Lights can change now.
Oh, look at that.
I get music.
That was beautiful.
Yes.
That was nicely done.
Yes.
Steve is a professional, guys. We got lucky to have
We
him
do.
today.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
With 2 hands, guys. 2 hands.
Yeah.
Rounding out our top 5 here. Number 3 is Captain Marvel from Disney. Another $20.5 million. Guys, Endgame tickets that go on sale supposedly on Tuesday. Get ready. Number 4, 5 Feet Apart. The Cole Sprouse film there. 6.25. I would like to be 100 feet apart from that film. And number 5, Unplanned. Another $6.1 million to that. So that is our top 5. We will be doing another box office bet at the end of this episode. Steve's excited because he's going to get a chance to do one of these.
Yay.
Yes. We're going to be doing it on 2 films. Pet Sematary. Oh, my gosh. Oh, yes. Another take on the Stephen King classic novel. And Shazam from Warner Brothers as well.
And see, that one already from a trailer, depending which trailer you saw, changed something from the original.
What?
There's been a few things that have
Pet
been
Sematary.
changed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
For Pet Sematary. So, like, that's one of, like, you're making a remake. But
Yeah.
at least you changed some things. But we'll
And-
see once it comes out.
But understand, I was reading something why they decided to make the changes that they did, and it does make
Some
sense.
of them make sense.
Yeah. So, folks, start voting away in the chat about which film you'd like us to do the box office bet on. But before we start talking about other stuff, I know Carrie
I did see a few movies.
has seen a few other films. What did you see, Carrie?
A few things. On Netflix, I watched the live-action Bleach. So it's based on an anime. It's actually really kind of cool if you've never watched the show because it's an intro movie, and thus it does have an open ending because it's like, here is the world at the start, but is this the end? No, probably not, because it's like the first, probably half of the first season. Most of the casting was great of making these anime characters live people. There's only like 1 or 2 that were like, it is very over the top. If you've never watched anime, you might think their acting's a little like over dramatic, but if you took a cartoon and made the real people. That's what that one is.
Better, worse, or comparable to Alita?
I think it's more like the anime live action. Yeah. In similar vein. Like I hadn't watched Alita recently enough, but I think that one was very close to it, and I think this one was too. But it's different because this is a Japanese film versus an American making of it. So also I would say some Asian films I've seen, we might call their acting overacting. But when you look at the source material of the anime, you're like, but that's what they do in that. So they're just real people, and it looks funny when it's real people. But it works, you know? I saw The House with the Clock in Its Walls, the Jack Black one. I thought it was really cute. It is definitely a family horror. We're talking about horror. It's not very scary, but I mean, for kids it might be. It has some tense moments. I like it's kind of about choosing your family. It's not necessarily who you're born with, which is great because so many people, like, who their families are kind of suck. Also, it's encouraging kids to be weird. Like, that's cool. I always like that. And it's some fun, creepy stuff. Oh, the humor between Jack Black and Cate Blanchett is hilarious. They're just so funny and, like, bickering the whole time. So, it's, fun one. It's very kooky because it's directed by Eli Roth. There's some of it that's bizarre. But it worked for me. I saw Mortal Engines. I feel I lost that bet way back when, or at least I wanted to see it. See, that one's a world-building thing. Anything that's futuristic, post-apocalyptic, I'm always excited about too. I liked it. It made me very curious over the books, and I actually like that I watched it now because it has Frankie Adams, who is Bobby from The Expanse. So I was like, yes, it's Bobby! And it also has Klaus, the character in Umbrella Academy.
Oh.
So I was super excited that he's in it, but I think I like him better as Klaus. But it's kind of fun to watch movies after you know who the actors are too, because then you're like, yay, it's them.
And this, I mean, there's multiple stories in this.
Yes.
So does this at least wrap up in a satisfying way, or it feels like, nope, this is really, it cries out for a sequel that will probably never be made?
It wraps up enough. There are things that are wrong with it, but, like, there's a thing with the character that if you had actually just had a conversation, a problem would have been solved way faster, and so that was kind of dumb. But it's like the robot person.
Robot person. I love that.
That's not to spoil anything.
Robot.
No, it's
like the same, right?
It's Shrike. It's like, it looks like Shriek or Shrike. Also, all things considered, most of the people of color don't get the best representation / die very quickly, and so that was kind of like, did we really? There's some characters that die very fast. You're like, really? Did we have to go that route? But that was kind of a bummer that's later in the film. But the overall concept of this futuristic world was neat, that I'd want to go read the books.
All right.
So I thought that was kind of fun. And, also check theaters, because this one is not a regular release. I saw Made in Abyss. It's not Made in the Abyss, just Made in Abyss. That one's also an anime film. It is, kind of wraps up half of the first season of the anime, and it's this, I want to almost say post-apocalyptic, but not really, fantasy world. So there's this giant meteor hole, essentially, that appears out of nowhere, and it's kind of like Journey to the Center of the Earth. There's these levels and different creatures and objects that people are discovering, and this kid, she makes friends with this robot, another one with a robot, and her mother might be down at the bottom. And so it's the exploration of trying to go see if she's there, and it's all about adventure, and it's kids kind of following your heart and risking things, because there's some heavy themes that they're like, if you go there, you will probably die. And the girl's kind of like, I know, I'm aware of that. And you're just like, oh, these kids. And she's like 12 years old, and her friends are just like, I don't want you to leave. But she's like, I've considered this, I know, but I have to go and see if she's down there. And so it's like fun, and the friends taking care of each other. So I recommend that one. And that one, they're coming out with a sequel January of 2020, which feels so far away, but all things considered, not really for animated film. Right. So Made in Abyss.
Look at that. Amy?
So I didn't watch any movies.
I'm catching up on so many.
Yeah, I didn't watch any, but I was yesterday and the day before. Yesterday was the 50th annual NAACP Image Awards. Nice. So that was pretty fun. It's a mouthful, but I got it.
You got it.
Yeah.
You did it.
It was really, really great. I was working at an activation, and Black Panther showed up. Chadwick Boseman was there, and I was like, oh, this is so exciting.
Check out her Insta stories.
Mm-hmm.
Did you chat with him?
No, he was busy. He was busy doing his thing at our activation. Yeah. And he won for something too. We were working, so I don't know exactly what he won, but congratulations to him. And yeah, he was great. He was having fun. He was dancing. The activation itself was really pretty because there was some cool lights, and then there was like a red curtain behind with very nice uplights, and there was a throne, and he was like, after the first part where you sit down on the throne, you just work it, then they move the throne out. Cool. And then he was dancing, having fun, and the whole time you're just getting really cool video of it. And yeah, it was nice, and it was Shuri actually won.
Nice.
Shuri, Letitia, right. She won for best breakthrough performance in a movie. So yeah, she was actually very, very shocked. She kind of stood up and she was like, oh, you guys can't hear me, but she was confused. Yeah, and so she was very excited, but she wasn't able to stop at our activation. But it was just cool to see so many different people, be represented and do their own thing, and it was really, really cool. Sterling K. Brown was there, Beyonce was there, but she didn't come into our activation. There's different levels. It's really interesting how all that works, but it was great, and I had a lot of fun. But it was a very busy week, so hoping to watch more movies.
And now we know that Shuri was one of the ones that disappeared in the snap. You gotta avenge her.
Oh my gosh!
Avenge that fallen, folks.
Yeah, too soon. Also, just real quick, because someone did ask in the chat, it's made, like you made something in Abyss. Like ABYSS. Just in case. I was like, I know that can sound odd if I say it fast.
So real quick, folks, just in terms of some some international numbers here, Dumbo made $71 million at the international box office, and basically both internationally and domestically, it was underserved there at the box office. People were expecting it to do much better. They were hoping it would be $80 to $90 million range for international box office results. So it was down from there, and $45 million was certainly underperforming what they expected domestically.
Yeah.
But we got Captain Marvel, though. That is going currently at $990.6 million. It is she fronts now the number 10 superhero movie ever worldwide and number 9 in the genre internationally. The offshore total is $636.8 million after $26.4 million this weekend. So look at that. Right now, it's going to be the international box office is going to cross the $1 billion mark for 2019. So look at that. It's Disney's combined weekend totals for 2019 is $1.104 billion.
Yeah.
And just wait till Endgame comes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That right there is probably just going to get $1 billion on its own.
Yeah. We're not even in April.
Nope.
This is great.
And Bohemian Rhapsody is about to cross the $900 million threshold. So look at that.
Wow.
And How to Train Your Dragon crossed the $500 million mark internationally as well. And Us had a strong start in Korea.
Yeah.
So there you go. Look at them go.
Great.
So, folks, before we do our box office bet, we're going to do our top 5 for what we think next week's going to look like. Again, we're going to be adding Pet Sematary, 3,400 screens, as well as Shazam on 4,100 plus screens into our top 5. I see.
I go with Shazam being number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Pet Sematary could be a number 2.
I can say that too. I think Dumbo's going to have another big drop because it just the word of mouth has not done well for that film.
I also feel Pet Sematary is a horror one that you may or may not have actually seen, even if you're into the horror genre, because I mean it is a Stephen King title, but still it's not, I think, as widely well known. I saw that like in elementary school, which was very scary then, but I thought it was super cool. So we'll see what people are watching that or taking. What age group, because it's a family, so there are kids and plenty of horror movies I've been to, and there's young people that probably shouldn't be there, but
so
it happens.
Do you see next week it's just going to be everything's moving down, and we've got Shazam and Pet Sematary up at the top?
Yes. I mean, I just wonder if like Dumbo and Us could switch, but maybe not. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Dumbo and Us switch. So Dumbo, Us would be 3, Dumbo would be 4, Captain Marvel 5.
I actually wouldn't, but that's also tough when you got Pet Sematary coming out. Would it still switch. I don't know, because people might be more just intrigued to go see that as opposed to Us.
Well, it's not even that. It's just that less people are going to go see Dumbo. Word
That's
of
true
mouth.
too.
So it's just
Dumbo.
like,
Well, it's
thank you.
You're welcome.
also if you've already seen Us, and then maybe you want another horror movie, Pet Sematary would be the new
Ready.
one.
Yeah.
And that one's also been doing a lot of advertising.
That's
It's
true.
a great year for cats, I want to say. And even a little bit of last year. Salem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How excited are the two of you for Shazam?
I'm excited.
Okay.
I know that sounds terribly excited, but I don't like going into any movie super excited anymore, because then you're just generally, I want to go in neutral.
There you go.
I want to like it. I want to enjoy it. That's my level of excitement. It looks fun, and that's if as long as it's fun and entertaining, that'll be good for me.
All right.
I'm more excited for Pet Cemetery.
Ooh.
Yeah. I saw the original
Nice.
a few years ago. So I'm curious.
Which one will you go see first? Pet Sematary?
Probably, yeah.
All right.
All right.
Fine.
All right.
I mean, I've already seen Shazam, so that's...
Shazam?
Shazam. Shazam. All right. So, folks, we're going to do our box office bet on the film that you fine folks in the chat have decided to vote on. Ken, Jack, if you're in the chat, I call out to you to let us know what the winner is.
We could start a rap with his name, Ken Jack, in the chat. Tell us
Break
what
it
the
down, Amy.
votes
Where it's
are.
at.
Oh, that's better. Thank you. It's collaboration, you know?
It is.
And, of course, the box office bet, the way it works is that whatever film that you voted on there in the chat, we will place our bets on what we think the opening box office total will be. The person who's closest to that will get to be the prognosticator, prognosticators. And I tell you, after not having that title for so long, boy, it's nice. It is nice.
Good for you.
And then the loser, of course, will have to go see the film and tell us all about it.
Like Carrie.
Yes.
Do you think Dumbo was sad at all?
It was sad for me because I
Okay,
spent
never
2
mind. I
hours
don't know
on
why I
it
asked that
watching
question.
it.
All right. Stardew says Ken Jack isn't here. Then Stardew, are you on it? What are our numbers?
Uh-oh. All
Since
right.
you noticed.
Ooh.
This is rough. This is
I'm- I
exciting.
I feel it's pretty
exciting.
close so far.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so it's Shazam or
You know, we got
Or
yes.
Pet
Cemetery.
Cemetery.
Do you want your Jason Clark? Do you want your Zachary Levi? I mean, which one do you want? Oh.
Do you guys remember that commercial that what is it, Taco Bell one? Why not both?
Oh.
Do you guys remember?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
Someone out there does.
Yeah.
All right. Well, going once, going twice. We'll make the decision then.
Ooh.
If we don't have a sign off, what does it look
Come
like?
on, somebody say.
say
Anybody?
make the
Anybody? I think we're getting a lot of votes. Well, why don't we do Shazam, because we all think it's number one?
All right. Shazam it
do
is.
it.
There you go. For Warner Brothers, a new line there with Zachary Levi. 4,100 and plus screens there. Mm-hmm. What do you think that is going to do? And Steve, would you like to join us on this box office bet?
Sure, it'd be a complete noob at it, but why not?
There you go. No, trust
It's
me.
all right.
There's
not much skill involved.
Nope, not at all. All right, so Steve, we'll have you go first in just a second once everybody gets their numbers in locked in here. We got Amy, we got Carrie, and we got me. All right, so I will.
What will you put, Frank?
I mean, you know, having already seen it, man, I feel like, you know, I'm playing with house money at this point.
I know you weren't as thrilled, but most of the other people I've seen it
shoot.
liked
No.
it.
Yeah, you know, yeah. All right. But I'm also dead inside. You have to factor that in
True.
to all of that. All right, okay. I've got my number.
I plan to see it, so I don't mind them swinging for the fences with mine.
Oh gosh, I wonder if I wonder in that case am I underestimating? All right, here we go.
All right, wait.
Wow,
bump it up.
JLS Comics says 122. Sky Patterson says 65.
All right.
That's like
Yep, I went up. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody locked in?
Yes.
Steve, you ready to go, sir?
Yes, I am.
All right. What do you think Shazam will make its opening weekend there at the box office?
58 million.
58 million. All right, a very modest total from Steve. I like it. Just taking his first dip into the box office bet structure. He's like, all right, I'm just gonna dip my toe in. All right, with a nice little 58.
Got CC Drink in the chat says 90.
All right, Amy.
65.
65.
Okay.
Okay. Carrie.
75.
75.
Oh, I thought you were gonna put like 90 or something.
Man, I'm going yours. I had 78 originally, and then you said that. I was like, oh, all right, maybe I better go bigger. And I did. I went 110.
But you've already seen it.
I know.
So,
I've already seen it.
Janet Mouse says 70. Music Fan says 70. Brandon says 82. Nicholas says 75. What's up? Yeah. Also, you can go over. JLS was asking what are we doing Price Right rules? No, it's just who is the closest. You can be over under, but who is literally the closest wins, and the one literally the furthest away loses.
I don't care if I win or lose. Just
already
seeing
seen
Amy's
it.
reaction right there to my $110 million bet. She was
Star
like,
Drew said you went too low.
Whatever, Star Drew. I put what I put. No regrets.
all right, I like that. She
Do
owns
it.
it. She owns
Yes.
it.
Oh, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this episode of Box Office Breakdown. Thank you so much here for joining us in the chat. We really appreciate it. We couldn't do the show without you. You help us decide, except for this week, which films that we do for our Box Office Bet. But if you want to like us on Facebook, give us those 5 stars on iTunes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, give it a thumbs up, or 2, or 3, or 4, or 5. Yes, and Kari, if they're watching after we stream live, what can they do?
Yes, comment down below.
Fantastic. Do you have a question you'd love for them to comment, respond with?
Well, remakes. What are some of your favorite remakes? Because we have been bashing them because generally they're not that great. So what are some remakes you like?
Christopher Robin.
No.
Or
really-
re-understanding, remastering it in the sense of taking a story we know and changing it. That's good too. I would say
Re-ing.
mine is a Gaslight.
No.
That's one of the
Look at
ones.
that.
There's a British version, and then there's an American one, and it's old and black and white. Speaking of, Ingrid Bergman is in the remake. I would say the remake is better, just as better storytelling and better pacing. But it's the exact
nice.
same movie. And
you go.
based on a play. So then you... multiple remakes.
Fantastic. I guess mine would be like the Star Wars extended edition. Okay. There you go. All right.
Hey, Star Wars.
Yeah, look at
Yay!
that. But folks, if you want to stay in touch with any of us, even after the show's over, Steve, where can they find you?
They can find me working at AfterBuzz.
Perfect. Fantastic. Amy, about yourself.
You guys can find me on all social media at Amy Cassandra. MT.
Oh, boy.
Z.
Did not nail
I
that.
forgot how to spell T.
You're like,
Nailed
Yeah.
it for myself. I got it. It's cool. I don't need approval.
It's okay.
It's all right.
My name is Kari Lane. You can find me online at Kari D Lane. That's KARIDLANE. And I know I talked a lot about anime. So if you are into anime, there's an on AfterBuzz. We do AfterBuzz anime reviews. We're currently covering Fruits Basket, the OG version, but we did talk about the new one today. You should go check out what we thought of it.
There you go. And check out Kari's Twitter or Instagram feed. She does a nice little video recapitulation of her little anime TV show.
Yes. Oh, thank you for watching.
There you
Yes.
go. Look at that. It brought a tear to my eye.
Oh, wow. For someone that doesn't have a heart. Wow.
I was just being kind.
It's okay. And also, after this, over on AfterBuzz, I would also want to promote it because it's a really great show, American Gods.
There you go with
After
Flobo.
show.
Look at him. Yes. Folks, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HappyGoJackie. Folks, we'll see you back here next Sunday with an all-new episode of Box Office Breakdown right here on Popcorn Talk. Go see some movies.
See ya.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.